All righty, y'all. Welcome to In Black. This is a I Am Me show where we are in blackness and we are proud. And we have those black discussions that everybody wants to hear, and we answering no questions that everybody want to know. I am here with the panelists on the side. I'll let them introduce themselves as I bring them on the screen. Remember, everything discussed here is not the thoughts and views of I Am Me, the nonprofit, but the thoughts of our followers and the general public. And remember, again, it is in black and black, 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 black. So tonight's topic is respect my sexual attraction. You can watch this broadcast within the IME app. Later on throughout the broadcast, I will put up a QR code as to how to reach out to IME. If you are enjoying this as we are going along, I will put the link in the chat and you can feel free to come up to be on the panel. So without further ado, I'm going to put them up because this is gonna be the blackest show that y'all ever watch, right, y'all?
Yep.
Yeah, indeed, indeed, indeed.
All right. So we're gonna start out with Smack, and then we're gonna go to Donna, then Tim, then Stan. I want each of y'all to introduce yourselves and just tell me what your sexual orientation is, your identity, if you don't mind sharing. We'll start out with Smack first.
Hi, my name is Vonda Smack. Been in this for a while since I was 16, way over 30 plus years, and I'm lesbian,
Okay.
and I'm black, and you know what I mean? I'm black lesbian.
All right, and who do we have next? Donna, introduce
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. My name is Donna. I live in Delaware. I was born and raised in New York. I identify as a masculine centered woman, lesbian. Um, I love feminine women. That's what I prefer. And I can't wait to start the show.
Okay. Next up, we're gonna go to Tim. Please introduce yourself and tell us what your orientation is.
Hello, my name is Tim. I'm 49 years old. I identify as gay because of my
Okay.
some of my because of my past. Some would group me as bisexual, but we'll talk about more of that in the discussion.
Okay. And next we have Stan. Welcome, welcome. Introduce yourself to the audience, Stan.
I'm Stan. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. From Atlanta, Georgia, and I identify as straight male, trans attracted male.
Okay. So I like to welcome y'all, and I applaud y'all for coming up here and being willing to share your lives. You know, that's sometimes hard. I'm not sure if everyone here is living in their truth out loud and proud in the public. So I'm just going to ask that. Are all of y'all living your truth out loud in
Yeah,
public?
I
I am
definitely am. I definitely am.
I
all
definitely am.
day.
Yes.
Okay,
All day.
cool.
365 days.
Okay. So, audience that's tuning in, feel free if you're watching and it's a chat, you can drop questions in. And if they're safe, because this is a safe space, I'll read them. But if not, just enjoy the show. Even if you don't even want to ask a question, just drop in the comments and say, "Hey, what's up? I like what y'all doing." Whatever you want to comment and have it featured at the bottom. Remember, this is a safe space. If you get out of pocket, we not having it. I'm not gonna post it. All right. So the first question, in which most of y'all already answered, is how old were you when you realized your type? When did you come out? Was it a grand coming out? I mean, what? How did you do it?
Not grand.
We're gonna start
Well,
off with
great.
swag. How did you come out? Did you just jump out of a closet? Everybody seemed to think we jump out of closets.
Well, with
Maybe.
me, I told my family, but no one beyond that. And then somebody outed me publicly on my job.
Oh
So they
wow,
took my choice away.
wow,
And it was rough. Like the amount of people that are part of your life that automatically disappear from your life is staggering. Like people that you expected to be by your side until y'all were old and gray. And I'm talking about friends and family. Suddenly they're not there no more because they don't agree with what their idea is of what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
wow.
it was a process because I basically lost my entire life when that person outed me.
When you
So
weren't ready.
I relocated to another state, and then when that wasn't far enough, I relocated to another state, and I rebuilt a life for myself. The people that I had grew up with and known and loved, a majority of them didn't want to be in the same space as me, or when they weren't in my presence, the things that came out of their mouth were completely different than how they projected themselves when they were in my presence. So
Yeah.
I had to start a life with a hole in my chest, but I did it. You know what I'm saying? It's how people feel about this one thing is staggering because the ignorance is the equivalent of the level of hate that white people have for blacks. You know what I'm saying? And it's the exact same prejudice. It's the exact same prejudice. That's why it hurts me more that black people are so vicious towards us after experiencing everything that we experienced as a whole as black people. And we
Right.
have to go through it twice just
Right,
because they don't understand what's going on with us.
right. Wow, wow. I am so sorry you had to go through that, Tim.
Maybe such is life. You know what I'm saying? I made it. That's why I'm
Yep.
such a vocal person because I know there are other people out there that are where I was at that time. See, that was 30 plus years ago. You know, I went on to do a lot of things for myself with nobody behind me, no family, no friends. And when I tell you I reached the top of the things that I decided to do by myself with that hole in my chest. So I don't hesitate to speak because I know there's other people out there that are there now. And I know how painful that stuff was. So, you know, I've been telling you for a while that I wanted to get on one of your podcasts. And thank you for just letting me be vocal and just touch people that may be experiencing or have experienced the things that I've experienced. Maybe it can help them heal. Maybe it can give them a common friend to talk to about things that they can't talk to about nobody else. Because when
Right,
I discuss these things with try to discuss these things with people, they don't understand. They comprehend, but they don't understand.
right, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. My heart goes out to you. And I'm glad that you actually came on the show and you were being transparent. I think the youth need to, hear this more importantly, more than maybe the adult population, but the youth so they can
Yeah.
comfortably come out. And in the case of Tim, if you are listening and you're going through this, please reach out to local nonprofits. Find your tribe. It makes it easier for you to come out. Don't do it alone. Don't believe that you're the only person in the world that is like you, because that is not the case.
Yeah.
Um, So
Okay.
next, I'm going to go to Smack. You want to
Thank
share
you.
your story? The same question. How old were you when you came out? Um, and describe, how it was, and you can even tell us what your type. I mean, what happened?
Um, hmm.
Um,
I felt like I came out. It wasn't like told the family first. I felt like that I came out to my best friend first, and told them what I was going through, and I wasn't ready to come out to my family yet, but I was out here living life like I was, proud, doing my thing. And then it came out to my mother out of anger, because she said, "You're never home. You're always working and you're spending the night with people you work with." And I finally told my mom I just felt like I was, Supergirl or whatever. I was like, "Yeah, that's because I like girls." And my mother was very upset, very upset. It was a big argument. I didn't raise you like that. Um, but as then I came out to my dad, and my dad said, "I don't care, what you are. You're still my daughter, and I still love you." And that's what helped me get through that piece. And then, trying to tell my brothers wasn't too difficult. I think they just put it off the shoulder. And it was like, okay, you're still my sister. It really, I grew up in Salisbury. It's not something you just walk around proudly and say. And, I just lived my life. And at that time, while I was coming out, I can't say that I was the person I am today, which is a more masculine centered woman. During that time, I was still trying to figure that part out, but I was dating. I tell you, the first person, my first girlfriend, I can't say she was feminine and real feminine, and I can't say she was, masculine. It's just a person, just who she was. If she needed to put on a dress, she put on a dress, but she wasn't, feminine. But you would see her in a hoodie and sweatpants, but I couldn't say, you know, she was masculine. Um, I did have a gay mom and dad who taught me about the lifestyle. Shout out to Boney and Tracy. Those are my gay mom and dad. They played some roles.
Family.
Yes. And um, as time went on, from 16 until I would say probably about my early 20s is when I discovered who I was. Because even though I had this look, my look started when I was about 19. I had the boy haircut, sides faded, had a box, but when it came to being with a woman, I didn't have a certain, you know, it was whoever, want to have conversation and talk to me. But as I got older, I was started to being attracted to feminine women and not masculine centered women. I've never slept with no masculine centered women, but I'm gonna put it like this: they weren't masculine centered when I was, I mean, when I was well, the day and present day, they masculine centered, so they were still trying to figure themselves out. But as of today, I'm all about a black feminine woman.
Okay. So next, we're going to go to Stan. If you want to share a little bit about your experience and your journey.
Hmm. Well, I grew and I didn't really have a come out um, story. I was just kind of always attracted to like the feminine voice, but I still, still, dated girls and stuff. But I just never got into anything really serious with the girls. Um, so I kind of was always attracted to like the feminine guys. So, but I never, and I had like all my regular straight friends from school and everything talked about uh, what I was in, what I did, and they kind of figured it out. It was never ever came out in the conversation, even with my family. It was something that when I had company or seen with a femme boy, it was they didn't question me, just kind of like, maybe he's going through something or whatever. But I never had to head with family, that's why I never had to go down low to do anything I did. If you understand, I never had to do that
Right.
because it never became an issue. It was never an issue because I still hung with my regular friends. I was still staying, but they could figure, certain things they would, because I never hid anything. And maybe that's why they respected me with that because shame of anything. So they never kind of, it just never came up. So it wasn't like I came out and,
Right.
I had a family issue and things like that because, people go through that. But I just kind of just lived my life. I still hung out with my friends. I still did things in school, but I just never, you know, it never became, so I just did what I did. My mother would sit back and she would ask me sometime, you know, um, and then I kind of just play off and like, yeah, you gay? I was like, no, because I was never attracted to men. Man. Like I had
Right.
growing up, I had like even gay men came up approach. I was never attracted to that. I never was. So it was either the femi, girlish. That was always what I was attracted to. So me being around that, I was never considered looked at as a gay guy. And so I never really hung around. I never was around a whole gay thing. And once I started going to like the trans clubs when I like turned 18 and 19, you know, it was never gay bars, but I never associated with the gay guys so much. I never related to them. And I know it's kind of hard to understand that, but so I
No, it's
never
not.
gay friends. Or I hung around a bunch of guys. You know what I'm saying? I never hung around gay guys. You know,
Right.
I had my regular friends, but but then I had my girlfriends, and I would bring my girlfriends around. I never hid anything, and I had very attractive girls just happen to have penises. You know, and so if you don't, if you show confidence and you know what you are and who you are, people will not pounce on that. I was a down low guy. That's how people can take advantage of certain things with people because of the fact that you're trying to hide something. And if you got nothing to hide,
Right.
people expect that. And that's just how it was. So I never had that story where, that mama
Yeah.
came out, and I know a lot of people have gone, even girls I dated went through that. A lot of the trans girls have gone through those things. I witnessed it, you know. And that's why I have a lot of respect because it takes a lot for them to be them, you know.
Right.
And I had a girlfriend tell me that, like, Stan, you don't know how hard it is for me to be me. You get up every day, put on your pants, and go about your business. I have to sit up and have people stare at me in public. I got guys staring at me. I got pointing at me. You don't know how hard it is for me to be me. I understand that, and that's why I understood and respect the trans community because of that. And just to, but like I said, if you, walk in, with, just who you are. Like I said, I was never down low. I never was down low around my family. I just didn't present things in front of them, or trying to force them to accept what I did. I just did what I did, and if we had a family function or something, and I bring my girlfriend there, that's how I went. Nobody said, "Oh, you
Wow.
can't." They allow me. That's about the best way to put it.
Okay.
You know,
So I do have a question in that space. You said that you didn't change anything. You had your same friends. Were your friends were trans attracted, or they were just heterosexual men that like
it was.
cisgender women?
I dated cisgender women because I was around it. It wasn't anything that I knew even back in high school. Far back that I knew what I liked. And I tried. Like I said, you kind of like I dated cisgender women. And but it was never a good relationship because I knew I couldn't be everything.
Right. No, I was asking,
You
were
know,
your friends
yeah.
into cisgender women?
Oh yeah, oh
Were
yeah.
your
They were
friends trans?
totally
Oh, okay.
heterosexual. Yeah, macho,
Okay.
and yeah, yeah, yeah. They were, and I could hang and I hung with them,
Who's
but
listening to the show while they're in the show? Sound like
Yes, I'm
somebody.
at Echo.
Sound like somebody listening to
yeah,
the
but
show.
Yeah,
I had
somebody got in
friends.
trouble again.
Friends were straight guys. The guys I hung with. You know, so
Okay. So
I got an echo.
kind of
yeah,
hard
I
to
hear an echo. Is someone listening
outlet.
Yeah,
to the show while watching the show?
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
They gotta move away from it.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody's listening to the show.
They gotta move away from either the TV or whatever that they're watching their cell phone. They gotta move away from it.
yeah. Somebody's
Yes.
It's got like a echo and it keeps going in and
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't watch the show and be on it. So I'm trying to figure that out. Let me see.
No, I'm watching the show and on it.
No, you can't do
Okay, can you hear me?
you watching it.
I see you, the logo, everybody that's on the show, and then in the middle, I see the person that's talking and myself. I see
Oh,
everybody.
yeah, it's echo, and I'm wondering if someone is
I just muted my mic so you could try and find it because it is kind of bothering us. Someone's
yeah.
got like
Could everybody mute their mics for 1 minute? All right. Do I sound normal? Okay. All right. So someone
I don't hear the
you
echo.
can't watch the show and be on it because it'll put feedback into it.
yeah, I don't hear it now.
Okay.
How about now?
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
It's me? Damn it. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. It was the fan.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I have my fan on too, so I turn my fan on.
No,
All right.
I'm like really close to my fan. Y'all can't see it on TV, but it's only a couple inches away from me.
All right.
I
So
still hear echo.
back to I'm gonna read a comment from Deidre, but I just I was we left off with me asking Stan about his friend. Is it me?
We're getting the echo again.
A bad echo.
Why am I?
Um,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Huh?
I don't
Can
know
you hear
why
me?
that echo.
If you're not speaking, mute your mic because we didn't hear it. Now everybody's mic is open and it's just bouncing off.
Okay. Is everybody muted now? Can you hear
Okay.
the echo? Okay. All right. So I do apologize to the audience. This is our first show. Of course, the first show is always rocky. So, it's going to take us some time to tweak things. But we left off with me asking Stan about his friendships. He had heterosexual friends. He had identified as a heterosexual male that's trans attracted. And I was just curious about the acceptance level because as we know in the Black community, men are very homophobic for some reason. I don't understand where it comes from. Maybe it's from the church community, but kudos
So
to your friend
100%.
Stan for actually having your back and supporting you. Now, let me read Deidre's comment. She said, as a huge supporter of the LGBTQ plus community, I'm happy to see this and hear these
I can't hear anybody.
testimonies. Young people need a safe space. Can you hear me? Say young people need a safe
Okay, I can hear you now.
space. Um, People are afraid of what they don't know. However, ignorance is no excuse. Communication is everything. Salute to y'all. Thank you, Deidre.
Thank you,
Um,
Thank
Deidre.
you.
Appreciate you.
all right,
Thank
so
you.
we're gonna go to Donna and her coming out story. Donna, I'm imagining that it's like this fabulous story where you're jet sitting all over the world. Is this what happened in your coming out story?
Yeah, my coming out story was the only person that was really important to me was my mom. Everybody else, I didn't if they didn't care or they didn't want to be bothered with me. But I had a small family, and my cousins, my uncle, my aunt, my mom, and my brother. Everybody supported me. I had no problems with family. Nobody disowned me. Nobody nothing. But my mom already knew I was gay because she would always say, "Why all these girls are calling my house?" Because at that time, used to have the telephone, and I would get so many girls calling. And she would be like, but she knew I was gay because she thinks she's slick. Because when I was about 10, I went to go see the Wiz on Broadway, and she used to sew, and she made me this suit, a yellow suit. It was very masculine suit. So she knew what I was about, but she was waiting for me to come out and tell her. But she was a little disappointed in a way, but she already knew because she said she already knew because I was always a tomboy in school. Even at the age in PS school, I liked my best friend's sister. I was always a tomboy. It never changed. And then I got older, and I used to hang out with the gay crowd in my neighborhood. And I also, I had a child. I wanted a child, so I found a friend of a friend, and he didn't know I was gay, but you have to play the game. I ain't gonna say, just give me a baby, So I had a child. I got 4 grandkids. And I'm not I dress very masculine, but I'm very soft. I'm not feminine, but I'm not I'm a very soft, like stud, very masculine, but not I'm not very I know I'm a woman, and I as such, but I never had no problems with my family. My family embraced me, loved me, we party with me, everything. And to this day, my cousins and everything, everybody still love me. I had no problems coming out. My coming out. I even went into the military, and and still was in my truth, even though they said that they didn't, don't ask, no tell. Yeah, but I still stood my truth, being a lesbian. So I had like the easy coming out. Besides, the guys, calling me dykes and stuff like that. But other than that, family and everything, I had no problem with my sexuality coming out at all.
I wish I could say the same, man. My family, I had to argue a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is me. You accept. I always felt like I was on. I felt like I was always defending myself, and I'm talking like
Really?
the cousins and you know, the uncles and the aunties, and then looking at me away. And I think that's because of the location. You know what I mean? And then I think
Yeah.
the values that they hold, that old school religion. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
And I
they
think it's harder for the guys than the females, as
yeah,
far as like, when it comes, the men have it harder because it's like it's forbidden. I mean, the women do too, but you know, men look at two women and be like, "Oh, I want to look at them do this and do that." But when it comes to two men, it's like it's not good. They don't. They don't. They don't embrace that, which is wrong. But that's their own insecurities.
you all muted. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Speaking of community, what you were just to harp on what y'all were just saying. I do
I
have
can
a
barely
question.
hear you.
You can barely hear me.
Yeah,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So the next
that's why I'm so close to the phone
question. So
because
the
that's the only way I can hear you.
okay.
When she was
Well,
talking, I could barely hear her too.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
I'm
I
loud
went
now.
out and came back in, but it's still the same.
Oh, could
Oh,
y'all hear me
wow.
great now?
I hear you
Huh?
very well.
Okay.
You're very well.
All right. So my next question is, um, what messages did you hear growing up? From the family, uh, the church, is always the church, right? Church space is about who you're allowed to love and be attracted to. What message did you hear from the church, the community in general? Y'all did speak about your families, but the community, church. I know the majority of us Black people grow up as Christians or either Muslim. Um, so
My
I'm
mom.
gonna start out. I'm gonna start out with Stan, and then I'll click y'all each into the boxes, and y'all let me know, like from a religious standpoint, community standpoint, what were some of the things that you heard?
I can't hear.
We,
Can't hear.
I could definitely hear you. Could you hear me?
Say something,
Okay, I can hear
Stan.
you. Okay, now I can hear you.
There
Oh,
you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
yeah. We're like, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you said it was something like with church.
Yes. So the
Um,
question was, what
okay.
Messages did you hear growing
As
up
far
in
as
the
church go,
church?
we wasn't a real religious family. So, mhm. uh, like I said, we wasn't really a religious family. So church wasn't forced on us. Um, I really
Oh,
didn't, really wasn't involved with that with the church community. We just wasn't. My mother uh, didn't raise. I had two older brothers, but she never raised us in like with the church. One thing about my mother that I love is that she was a single mom with three boys, and she always gave us space to be ourselves, and she never forced anything. You know, um, she used to, some things I know she was used to be concerned about was, she was like homophobic, things like that. So my mother wasn't a religious woman, so she didn't have those values about homosexuals and things like that. So I never had those kind of things embedded in me like that, or opinionated things like that. I mean,
What
just
about
we
people
didn't.
around you though?
Um,
What about your friends or people around you outside of your family? What kind of things were said when people knew your lifestyle?
oh, like I said earlier, even with my friends, um, I never presented things in front of people like that. It's kind of never, I never discussed my sexual orientation. It's like when if I was in school, I was dating girls, so they saw that, and then if I was with a film girl, they saw that. It was never like I was never judged like that. I wasn't around people that was judging. So, and that's why I say I can understand things that everybody's saying because they, with family and things, I just never had that around me. My two older brothers, the same thing. When my oldest brother, um, he pulled me to the side. He had concerns about it, um, and he even came to me and said, hey, with I, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was a boy in the neighborhood. But I have a he say, but I have a problem with you wants to be a girl. You date men. That was his, it was like be gay. Don't date anybody trying to be something else. That was, he was stuff like that, and I never to deal with a gay guy and but he just had issues like because he knew gay people, he had gay friends. And he just had issues with guys transition, and that
Okay.
was an issue that he had. And that was my oldest brother, but like I said, he never, know, like I said, I just kind of was always me. I never tended to do anything else. I didn't pretend, put to make people think, you know, it was like I said, I had girlfriends in high school, but that's what they were. We go out and stuff, but uh,
Mm,
you can ruin people's lives if
yeah.
you don't live your
Uh,
truth. And what I tried to avoid. You know, you want to put on the front and then pretend to be something, you know, like that. So, but that's that's kind of how I, was. So but like I said, I never was in the church and all that. So I never had any that background. You know, um, and I had grandmother, and naturally she was more so homophobic, but I never presented nothing around her. She would talk about gay people and what a man's supposed to be. Um, I had a job in high school working at a men's clothing store. She because I worked in a grocery store, like a Kroger, and she
mm,
really thought that was great. You can go there and you can be a manager, you can do this, and it wasn't nothing I wanted to do. So when I quit the Kroger and I went and worked at a clothing store downtown Chicago, she had issues with that. Selling clothing work, and I she kept telling me that's for sisters. A real man does real work. That kind of you know. But she was old Mississippi South. That kind of thing. And then I had a grand husband, and she let him be the man. He date other women. He fooled around, but she was the woman. That's what they're supposed to do. You know, and it's a lot
Yep.
I saw between those two. Um, you know, she, he out and he can get a prostitute to do the stuff that he wouldn't have his wife do. That's,
Typical man.
Juicy.
Typical man.
All
Huh?
right. So I'm going to put
yeah.
someone else in the hot seat.
Okay.
Stan, that was interesting. I'm going to
I
put,
can barely hear y'all.
Turn
you
your
can
Really?
volume
barely hear
on your
us.
phone because it's loud.
Yeah,
I
it's
can.
very
Yeah.
loud. So I'm going to put Donna in the hot seat. Thank you,
Yeah. Why
Stan.
not? I'm already high. I be in my menopause and over.
So, Donna, the same question. What
Oh,
was it like
my,
growing up, the church community?
well, mom. Thanks to my mom, she had me as a Jehovah Witness. She practiced that. They would, have how they come to your house and we have sit around, have
uh,
Bible study, and but they really never really touched on homosexuality when but when I was with other women and they would like to go to church like for New Year's Eve or like for Easter, I kind of like went, but I knew I didn't want to go because I know they always talk about, oh, you being homosexual, you're going to burn in hell, you sinning and all this, and I didn't want to hear that. So majority, like I said, majority of the time, I stayed out of church. I don't go to church to this day. I don't even like how they operate, but yeah, I never had to really deal with my religious family. My family were drinkers and they played bid with and they ate pork. That's what my family did. They wasn't really religious like that. My mom was the only one that tried Jehovah Witness, and she had me do it. I was young, so I was living with her, so I had no choice. But yeah, that's the only thing I could say as far as the church. I don't down them, but I don't think they should. I don't think they should do what they do or say what they should say. Everybody is human, and they shouldn't be down in just because you want to do your life and spend your life the way you want to do it to be ridiculed like you a bad person. So yeah, I don't go to church no more.
Thank
It's
you,
not
Donna.
my spot. I be
Thank you,
clubbing.
Donna. Oh,
Yeah.
Lord. I'm going to put Tim in the hot seat. Tim, what was it like for you growing up in Delaware, Lower Delaware, and having to deal with the church community and being who you are? Was it hard? What was your
Tim from
experience?
Maryland.
He's having trouble hearing.
Tim's
I've
from
been telling
Maryland.
y'all that I can't hear y'all.
Yeah, it's something with your phone. We'll have to reconnect afterward, Tim, but it's something wrong with your phone. You might have
All
to
right.
choose for it to come
Turn
through
it up.
speaker instead of in the phone, like you're got it up to your ear. You might have to put your audio part so that it comes out through the speaker, but we'll try to see if that works.
Yeah, because there's a microphone down at the bottom. I don't know what you have it on because you can press it and it say speakerphone, headset, earpiece, and default.
Okay.
I have
Well, we're
mine on
gonna put Vonda. We're gonna put you on a hot seat then, Vonda.
Wow. So
get the
I heard
water.
things. I ain't raised you that way. In the Bible, it says a man is supposed to be with a woman and a woman's supposed to be with a man. Sodom and what was it, Gabor, whatever, Gabor, that whole Sodom, that part of the Bible.
Which yeah, they've
I,
yeah.
yeah. So I ain't gonna lie, like it was a whole lot put on me. So you going to hell and always throwing the Bible. I noticed I was getting invited to go to church more with family members, you know what I'm saying? And me, I'm a person. I'm thinking they genuine because I still love God. God love me. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
my God is crazy about me. And so, it wasn't till I got hurt by the church that's when I stopped going. But here recently, I finally found a church where I can be who I am, and they set me open arms. Know that I'm a lesbian, and I'm able to keep on worshiping my God. You know what I'm saying? And I get to learn as well. And so, but back in the day, living in Salisbury, and I'm pretty sure Tim got some stories. You just, it wasn't something, and and I really think like people from bigger cities, um, a part of me feel like they had it, um, not as hard as people from smaller cities. In smaller cities, something like Salisbury, and then you got Laurel, Delaware, Delmar. Those are small cities, probably
Hmm.
about a couple thousand people in, Laurel and Delmar, maybe Salisbury, maybe a good 6 or 7 thousand. It's not a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so, in smaller cities, I feel like it's harder because everybody know everybody, and find out that you like that is just not accepted, and then you have people who want to come against you, you know what I'm saying? But me, because I could defend myself, I was living my truth. I didn't care if you liked it or not. Now I will say I wasn't out here like waving no flag, hey, I'm a lesbian. I just went on and lived my life and did what I did. I didn't do a lot of public display of affection. You know,
Do that
uh,
now.
my grandmother, we talked about it once and we never talked about it anymore. She just said, I didn't raise you that way, and don't bring nobody to my house. And I respected what my grandmother wanted. But as time went along, I would say probably 10 or 15 years later, I don't care if you bring your friends. I want to meet who's making you happy. My mother came around, and all that mattered to me was my family. It took them years, but they finally came around and loved me unconditionally. The women in my family, the men in my
Mhm.
family, they didn't really have a problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't until you started these um, you had Peach Radio, right? And that my brother started tuning in and really getting educated on the LGBTQ plus community. And I always salute him because he never came to me wanting to ask me anything about my lifestyle. I remember him telling me, sis, I need to ask you something. Are you so this means I'm not gonna get no nieces and nephews, you know what I mean, type thing. And I just said, you had your one chance, you know what I mean? But, just being smart. But, um, that was the only thing. But I would say from Peach Radio, that's when my brother and I really started. And I'm glad because I'm glad is happening, then not happening at all. That's when our conversation started. He asked different things and want to know about the LGBTQIA community, and I appreciate that instead
Yeah.
of not wanting to know and trying to understand us because we're growing. The community is growing. It's not how it was when I came out back in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in my 50s. It's not like that anymore. It's much bigger, and I'm even learning. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna say that. You muted.
Sorry, I said thank you guys. So we talked about religion. I guess I could share a little bit because I came out late. Like most people, I grew up Christian. When I went to church, it was always Adam and Eve. And one thing I didn't like the church, even though I lived I guess you would call it stealth mode. I didn't see any representation of me. So that's why I asked the question about the church. And since we're talking about stealth mode, which I lived in for almost 40 years before I actually came out, um, it's a thing called code switching. Do y'all know what code switching is? Because I kind of still code switch, at
Not me.
work. I'm kind of just Pierce or Peach at work. I don't really have a sexuality. I'm a mother of three with a grandchild. But then when I'm out in the community, I code switch. Ah, he got my flag. I'm in the community. Yeah, yeah, I'm an advocate. Do
Uh-huh.
y'all find yourself having to uh code switch in
Never.
spaces? I'm gonna bring Stan up first. I know what Stan probably gonna say. No, I never had the code switch, but I still code switch. Stan, I'm putting you on the hot seat. Do you code switch?
Okay, coach, right? Um, come out late or something like me. That's how
Code switching is
person is to me.
when
When you like me, I'm very masculine, but I'm gonna act like I'm straight or
okay.
I'm effeminate.
Stan couldn't hear,
I
so
mean,
wait a
like
minute.
acting.
Code switching is
Oh,
when you're in the public, maybe in a professional setting. You're just
Oh,
you. You kind of hide what your orientation and identity is.
oh,
But then when you out with the community that you're comfortable with, then you just way proud. You're just, yeah, I'm me. I don't care. Do you ever code switch?
um, I guess. Well, what I would do, okay, like I said, I could hang around with my friends, and then and I would do that, and then later on, I would uh leave them, and like I had other stuff to do, and then I go and I drive to the trans bars, and so that's what I would do. I never, like I had a friend of mine ask me one time, I said, "Where do you be going, man?" You know, um, I just say I just got, I got other friends. I guess that's kind of a cold switch because I hang with them, but like I said, I never put nothing. I never had to, just defend. Like I think, like like she was saying, carrying the flag, and I never did all those things. I never carried the flag, and show, my
Did you switch
proudness,
up your
but I did,
language though?
I was just being, yeah, just being myself. So, but then even when I went to the bars and clubs, I was still me. I didn't, I didn't have no hair to let down and like, okay, hey, I know, I was just staying, you know, and
yeah.
primarily that was basically just, just to go do meet people and hook up and stuff like that. You know, I respected what they did. I
Okay.
respected like the drag shows, stuff like that. You know, um,
Yeah. Track show.
but I was never involved in the community. Like I knew like some of the guys would do drag. And matter of fact, I would. There was a club in Chicago called it's still there called the Tom Lounge, and I would hang out there a lot. And as a matter of fact, I used to drive a lot of the girls to and from there. And we'd hang out, come by my house, and especially when the club would close, and we had drinks and stuff like that. That's but that's but like I said, my other set of friends that my straight friends, I never presented that around them. But if they happened by or was around me, I didn't sit back and oh my God, I didn't. I just couldn't go into panic mode. And when whatever they see, that's what they saw. You know, and I think
Wow.
them interested in it, but they were afraid of. but we never talked about it. It was just it really never came up.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I ain't never had a code switch.
and that's
Mm-mm.
real. It never really came up. They never questioned my sexual, you know. So, but
What you see?
like I said, you know, I just,
That's
All
what's up.
right. Wow. That's
you
yeah.
know, yeah,
Um,
it never came. And I never, and some of those guys I'm still friends with to this day. And I'm, I've been in relationships for like, long term. I like Peirrce, uh, some of the stuff that I did with my ex girlfriend. We would do some events with and she
Right.
was around me, and would go to my family. We had weddings and things. I never, and it just never, nobody just stood back staring or saying anything. They just respected, and it's,
Wow.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and we didn't
So next,
carry ourselves, and
I'm going.
and we didn't go places carrying ourselves,
Right. All right. So thank you, Stan. I'm gonna put Donna on the hot seat.
I ain't never code switched in my life. Never. That's the first time I heard it. Um,
Okay.
uh, I never know. This is what you see is what you get. I'm not. Nope. I'm not changing for nobody. Not even at my job. Well, all my jobs, I used to work for like the military. I had a job at the post office, so we wore uniforms. We have to really, and I work security, so we will always wear uniform. But I always kind of like had one of those. Like I wouldn't say the post office is a masculine job, but it's a lot of work. It's not for the women with the fingernails and all that, but. No, I never code switch. What you see is what you get. This is me. I don't know.
I know
Nope.
that's right.
I fought
All
my way.
right.
I fought my way to be this what I am. I'm not taking that back.
So no wigs or nothing. You had to
No,
wear nothing.
no makeup, no wigs, no heels, no nothing. Oh, you come in my closet is all men clothes.
All right. Thank you, Donna. All right. So
Yeah.
Vonda,
Yeah.
Smack. Did you ever code switch? Have you ever done it in your life?
Oh,
Tell
you
truth.
said in my
Tell
life.
truth.
Okay. Let me just tell you. Before I came out, I would say, yeah. You know what I mean? Sitting there knowing that you like girls, your grandma taking you by Easter dress, you got to get the Easter dress. So you got to act like you like it. Wear it that one day and then that thing go to the back of the closet. But once I came out, nah, I ain't never code switch. I am who I am.
Yeah.
When I was living in the closet, of course. When I wasn't totally out, I would say that's probably like from up to 16. After that, I ain't never code switched. This is what you get. I ain't never
Right.
wore makeup, never been a person liking nails, never done none of that up until 16. I played a lot of sports. I was a tomboy. But when it
Mhm.
came time to go to church with grandma and go buy a dress, yeah, yeah, all the way, even high school. You know what I mean? Yeah. But after 16, nah. Mm-mm. Ain't no code
Thank,
switching going on. Because
thank
after
you.
I came out of the closet, I lived my truth. That one
Yeah.
last boyfriend at 16, that was it. I ain't had no more. And even then, it was it was just weird having a boyfriend. I did that to make my family happy, to make them think like I like boys. But it wasn't nothing going on, you know what I mean? You know, um, but after I came out, code switching,
Yeah.
nah.
Thing in the
Went
past.
off to college. I think that was the best time of my life. I went through being gay, being so, pro black. And I think that was harder trying to get people at a HBCU to set me for me. You know what I mean? And here
Right.
I am trying to fight for black issues. And everybody started just like, yo, she is who she is. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? But yeah, I ain't code switching for nobody. Not now.
Mhm.
I'm out of the closet. I ain't doing that. Nah. You either take Smack the way she is or don't take
Oh,
me at
leave me
all.
alone. Right. Exactly. Don't.
Yeah, I ain't code switching. Now, do I code switch with other things? Yes, of course. But not when it comes to my lifestyle. Nah. I code switch
Oh,
on
I
other
do code
things.
switch. I
Yeah,
code
depending
switch
on
in the
who I'm
bed.
talking to, legislators or whatever. I may, hello, it's Vonda Smack, and I may get a little, more business like, but code switching with my lifestyle, nah, something that I'm passionate. Yo, this is who I am. I ain't code switching for nobody. You either
I
accept it or
code
you.
switch in the bedroom. I forgot. I do code switch in the bedroom. I like to be on the bottom sometimes.
I don't do that either.
Oh
I
my
don't do
God.
that in the bedroom. I don't even code switch there. I used to. I don't do it no more.
No, I like to have a break.
Hey, we're gonna have a conversation. This is how it is. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
You said
Listen,
you like to have a break. I heard that.
the cold switch question done went to the left. If
Yeah.
y'all are watching
Sorry.
this live, please share it out. We're going to be here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Hopefully, we won't have any technical issues. We'll be used to everything with the program, and I love this. I love the candid conversation. Please drop some comments or questions if you have any while we're up here talking about respect my sexual attraction as we talk about it. Um, my next question.
Oh Lord.
So for me, I came out late. And I
Mhm.
think it was because I was going through a internal struggle with myself. I felt like I didn't want to deprive my kids of having the standard family, like the mother and the father archetype. And I wanted to raise them that way because that was how I was raised. So I guess to some that would look like a form of internalized homophobia or internalized phobia. Did any of you have a moment where you judged yourself or said maybe life would have been easier if I was born not being, in Stan's case, not being trans attracted, and Vonda and Donna's case not being a lesbian? Did you ever have that moment like, dag, if I could change this and just do what's socially acceptable, that would be cool? Have y'all ever had that moment? I'm going to start out with Donna this time. I'm going to put you in the
Yeah,
hot seat.
I know. No, at one point I did want to transition. I wanted to transition and be a trans man. I did back in I say maybe in my 30s, in my late 30s, I
Okay.
did because at the time I was comfortable being a woman, but then again, like I said, it was hard. It was hard, and when I was growing up, you know, you get the looks, you get men that want to fight you, or men that call you names and stuff like that. So at that point I did think about it, but I never did it. I'm glad I didn't. But other than that, that would have been the only thing that I would have probably changed about me as far as like. But I don't think I would ever say I would want to be straight or heterosexual in my lifetime. Maybe in the next lifetime, but I would never want to say, that I would want to be not who I am now. I love who I am now,
Wow.
and I wouldn't change that for the world.
Okay. So, Stan, you're next. Did you feel like you could have, if you could change
Um,
anything about yourself?
no. Uh-uh. I like I've been this way for forever. And there's I don't like I said, I don't look at any. I don't look at it like, wow, if I was, if I could just be this or just. I mean, I've always what I've always been attracted to, and like I said, this goes way back to even high school, maybe before that. So it was just always in me, you know. And so I no, there's I have no, not at all. I'm glad the way
That's
Okay. All right, Vonda, you in the hot seat.
uh-oh.
All right, well,
Got the order.
I've always loved who I was. I feel like I came out of my mama's coochie gay, a lesbian, liking girls, because that was my first love. I was attracted to my teacher. And I don't want to change nothing. Um, like Donna, there when I was younger, learning about who I am, I thought did come across. Maybe I want to, transition. That was in my early, I say my early 20s into my late 20s. I thought about it, even did a little research on it.
Yeah,
And I was like, nah, this is me.
right.
When you start, I guess I went too deep into the research because I was just like, nah, I still like that. I'm gonna want that. But if I do that, I'm not gonna be able to get that feeling again. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. And I struggled a lot because I'm a big chested woman. And I hated having these big tatas. But over the years I learned to love me because this is who God made me in his image. So
Right.
yeah, I never wanted to change up nothing. Now, like
Right.
Donna said, in the next lifetime, who knows? You know, um, I feel like everything I've been through has made me this strong black, lesbian woman that I am today, and I stand on business.
Wow. So I'm the only awkward person that took myself to a whole nother life just to get here when I guess I should have just came here in the beginning, right? I should have just came out and had a
Okay.
family with a woman. I guess I'm the only one. But kudos to y'all for being confident. I
Yes.
gotta ask, where did this confidence come from? What made y'all just say, you know what? This is who I am. I don't care. I don't care who accepts me.
Love
How
me.
did y'all get to that space? And I'm gonna put stand on how did you get there? Because I wasn't there, even though I had a loving family that I knew would accept me. I wasn't there. How did you get there?
Yeah, probably late.
I think Stan probably might be delayed.
Yeah, I think he has a late. Real, real late.
Can you hear
Mhm.
us there?
Stan,
You muted.
I think you muted Stan.
yeah,
Okay.
I can't.
How
Okay,
did you become so secure? Yeah.
I can.
Uh-huh. We can hear you.
Uh, okay. How to become secure? Uh, I guess because, um, and you know what? This goes back to me thinking. I stopped worrying about, and I did this at an early age, what people thought about. I didn't focus on how people thought about me. So because when I started thinking about, wow, if I do, if worry about how people think about you, you're giving away a lot of power, and you setting yourself up for people to be opinionated about you. So I mean, back in school, high school and stuff, I didn't. When I was going to school, I did a internship at this place called Johnson Machine, Fashion Medics,
Mhm.
and I was concerned then because there was a lot of very gay guys that worked. And so we would go to lunch, and I was more concerned about being around them because they were so flamboyant, like really like, so flamboyant. They would draw a lot of attention. And I hated that. I really hated that, for instance, I was with my mother coming out of a day. And so two of them walking around, and they had these big huge ice cream cones. They're doing, and they were doing ice cream cones, just being real like exhibitionists. And then they saw me, and I was putting some groceries in the car with my mother, and then, hey Stan, all that kind of that bothered me.
Oh no!
Just the over flamboyancy
Wow.
of it. And so if I had to say that was those bothered me a lot. The whole flamboyancy of that, and even the the women I date, they're not out there flamboyantly with the whole, exaggerated walk, and just, attention drawing, trying to draw attention, So yeah, I had that's the issue I had where I just was more like when I was around a lot of flamboyant people and they drew attention, and then people when you do that, you look for confrontations is what I'm trying to draw, and I think that's what they do. They draw confrontations and they get loud. Can be in a restaurant eating and loud, and then if somebody's, if anybody was to say something to them, now they're ready to, get, confrontation. I don't like being around people like that. I really don't. So, you know, um, I just like just be you. I don't have, like I said, I don't have to run around and parade what I do. I support the community big time, and I go to all like the trans events and stuff they have in Atlanta, in New York, and stuff like that. I'm very supportive of that. I'm very open with that. I'm proud to represent that. Just draw attention to myself, you know. And I really, that's the kind of people that turn me off that really do that. So, you know, but other than that, that's.
Okay, so I'm going to put Donna in the hot seat in a minute, but I just want to shout out a few people that are watching on some of the other pages. Jay, hey boo, I see you. Pinky says, I don't code switch, but I did used to worry about my authentic self prohibiting me from excelling. And she says, hi everyone. And if you're
Hello.
on other pages and I didn't catch your comments, I'll be sure to go back through. Thank you for joining us. Please share the live. And the link is in the comment if you would actually want to come up and have a conversation on the panel, or you can join us next Tuesday. So, Donna, you're up
Yes.
next. How did you become so secure with yourself at a young age? What juice or whatever, what elixir, what did you do?
I don't
Was you
know.
lifting
I think my
weights?
upbringing, my upbringing with my mom. My mom, she was a single parent, and she was a single parent. My father was never in my life, and I see the struggle, and I seen how she took care of me and my brother, and she never even complained. So it's just the love within myself. I love myself to death. Me come first, even if I'm in a relationship. I'm still gonna love myself first, and then I'm gonna, make sure my partner's good too. But it's just confidence, knowing that um, I've been through a lot. I've been through almost being homeless. Um, Me and my daughter, I've been thrown out of people's apartment that I live with, and it's just me just growing up and get myself together. Now I got a big old house by myself, drive a nice car, and it's just confidence. I don't look for no validation from nobody. My mom's not here no more. So like I said, I have my daughter. She's 38. She has 4 kids, and I don't look for nobody to validate my life or make me feel like I'm less of, or make me feel like I'm not deserving of living or being in my truth. So it's just within the love for myself. I love myself. I would never. I love myself to death. Mm, you know, that's the
Wow.
concept I have. But
Okay.
ain't nobody can take that away from me.
Okay, I'm there now. I'm there now. Vonda, I'm about to put you in the hot seat. Where did you get all this secure? How did you get the strength and courage to just to come out and just say and just be secure? Where did it come from?
Well, for me, I think it's because of my DNA. To be honest, I'm being very honest. I come from two parents who were civil rights activists, and I've been
Wow.
advocating for myself for a long time. And when you just don't care what a person thinks, you know, I I used to care what people thought in high school. As I went to college, I didn't care. You either like me or you don't, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that's when they really did it for me, and I became secured. I mean, when you're always, and I'm still advocating for myself and my people. You know what I'm saying? I just think I became more secured when I went to college, in the early 90s. And that's what did it for me. And it come from, you know, my parents instilling values into me as a person, and letting me know that no matter what, I still love you. I mean, hearing that from my father meant everything because I'm a daddy's girl. And my dad told me, I don't care if you're a trash collector. I don't care who you love. You still my daughter, and you can still be loved. So the people that you look up to most, long as in their eyes, I ain't let them down. That's what matter. And I think that's when I became secure, knowing that my brothers still love me. They ain't turn their back because I'm the only girl. They ain't turn their back on me. And then I'm out here advocating for people. That I mean, what I do, it just brings even more security. I didn't feel like I had to live my life for other people. So I'm gonna say it started like in the college area, college part for me. Um, people always told me that I'm strong because I put up with a lot of ish, a lot, being able to stand in my truth. Some stories I've pushed them so far back, like I've dealt with them and I just released them out to sea. But you can forgive, but you can't forget. But I put up with a whole lot to get to where I am today. And I'm just going to owe that to advocacy, being an activist, advocating for me.
Thank you. Thank you. I hear that. I admire all of you. And if I could go back to my younger self, I think I would take some of the things that you guys have said tonight and encourage myself to come out earlier, and maybe I would have had a different outcome. And but then you know what? I wonder if I would have even made it to finding, becoming the founder of I Am Me if I didn't go through my experience. So I have only two more questions for you guys, and then we're going to end the night out. Um, the one of the last questions is, what advice would you give to a Black queer person that's struggling to accept their attraction? What advice would you give them? I'm going to start out with Vonda. What advice would you give to a Black queer person that's struggling with their sexual attraction?
First off, you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself to the point where I'm gonna just say that first. That's the first thing. You got to love yourself. You have to get a place. You have to get to a place where you don't care what other people think about you because you love yourself. You love the skin you're in. And I think that's what did it for me. Once I finally started, and I went through several episodes of that, loving myself. I went in and out of love with myself. You feel me? And I tell people that, they'd be like, what? They didn't understand it, so I broke it down. There was a time where I used to be a very slim girl, and then I became a big girl, and I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like myself. Looking in the mirror, I would try to avoid mirrors. So, what I say to that person is to love yourself first. And when you love yourself unconditionally, everything else will fall into place. And you got to be strong and you can't doubt yourself. You got to stand firm. That's the advice that I give is love yourself. And so
Okay.
many of us don't.
No.
They worry about what everybody else says and then loving a fake me, a fake them. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Donna,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell a young queer person that's struggling with their sexual attraction?
Wanda said it for everybody. Um, people are so animate to please other people, especially like when it comes to your family. I know you want to honor your mom, your mother, and your father, but at the end of the day, you still got to look out for yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to make yourself happy. If you can't make yourself happy, you can't make nobody else happy. So you have to love yourself first. You got to make sure that you're okay with knowing that. And everybody struggles, and we all been through struggles. I've been through struggles too. So, but at the end of the day, it gets better, and you just got to keep your head up and just keep striving and concentrate on your life, concentrate on your future, concentrate on what you want to do, because nobody's going to hold your hand, nobody's going to guide you nowhere. You're going to have to sometimes pick your head up and pick your feet up and get out there and do things for yourself, and just have confidence and love yourself to death, and don't let nobody tell you know different.
Wow. Thanks, Donna. Stan, you up next. Let's see. One second. I think I'm having some technical issues with my mouse. One second. But Stan, you can talk.
Stand to me.
First of all, what everybody said, love yourself, and is um, don't fight yourself. You don't fight yourself trying to conform or live the way you think. Live through other people's eyes. You can't beat yourself up on how you feel. I think a lot of people in the gay community, they feel that way because they're worried about how people can. So they fight themselves all the time about what their feelings are. So my advice would be: don't fight yourself, love yourself, and then most of all, accept who you are. You have to accept yourself, and, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. It's easy said than done, but sometimes you gotta do it. You know, just gotta do it.
I can't hear
'Cause
anything.
like I say, everybody wants to be validated. Everybody wants to be accepted.
Mm.
Accept yourself first.
I used to do
Okay.
affirmations a lot, and I got when I was younger, and I got back into the affirmations, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start repeating some strong
Definitely.
affirmations, you start believing those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to tell people all the time because when I was party promoter, you see a whole lot of females like going through a lot, man. And I see a whole lot of that now. And I told them they need to start affirming things into their life I truly believe, you know, that for this younger generation, if your life and people may, I want to add this in if you don't mind, Peirrce, you got to change the formula if you keep getting the same results. That's all I'm going to say. And sometimes it starts with a subtraction sign, removing people out of your life that you're trying to live for. And when I say remove, sometimes it may just mean less communication. But and it all falls back to you getting into yourself. That's where it comes, but you got to change out the formula.
Mhm.
And I truly believe that. I lived in a certain formula, and it was a formula that was given to me from my family. Doesn't mean I can't take some of the values, but my mom would be like, I ain't raised you like that. And I'm like, well, mom, I don't know. I'm older now. My mom still says this to me. I didn't raise you like that. So I understand, mom, but you're forcing me to do something that I don't want to do. And I don't know that person. So why would I send them a text message? You know what I'm saying? Different things like that. And so it's standing firm on who you are after, you're out here. Once the younger generation gets to know who you are, you're going to find out that life is so much easier because you're living it according to your terms.
Yep.
Wow, 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 wow. That was some powerful
Yeah.
advice. And I am going to clip it and I'm going to put it on all our social media pages. And I'm hoping that the followers can take that and just share it all over the world, because I think our young people really, really need to hear this, especially during this particular administration with all this stuff going on, all this homophobia, this transphobia. But I want to read a comment from Pinky Monroe
Oh
Dunlap.
yeah.
She says,
Dunlap.
fall in love with you and share the right experience with others, and the right ones will come together. That
Yes.
is her response to the question. So, my last question, I want y'all to think hard, like think, dig down deep, and just think hard, 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 hard. Not really, it's not all that hard. Why should people respect your sexual attraction? Why should they respect it? Why should they respect it? Why should society as a whole just respect your sexual attraction?
Again.
I'm going to go over to, can you hear me, Stan? Did you hear it? I don't know if Stan heard me.
Late, late reaction.
I can't
Yeah, I
hear the
think
question.
so. All right. Did you hear the question? Okay, so I'm going to repeat it. Why should people respect your sexual attraction? Why should they respect it? I'm going to start off with, who do I want to start off with? I'm going to start off with Stan. Why should they respect it? This is the last question.
I hear the question.
I think he's having internet issues too.
Probably. All right, so
You
I'm
want me
going
to
to
go?
bring, yeah, I'm going to bring Donna.
Yeah.
Why
You
should
said
people
why should
respect
somebody respect my lifestyle?
that?
Or
Why should they respect your sexual attraction? Who you like, what you like? Why should the world, society as a whole,
Okay.
respect it?
Why should people?
is there a rebuttal to say I really don't give a
Yeah, you can say that. If that's what you want to say, yeah.
I don't give a yeah, because I'm gonna respect people at the end of the day. If they don't respect me, I don't care. I don't give a to I nobody pays my bills, nobody take care of me. I'm on my own, I do my own thing, so I really don't care what they think.
That's
Oh,
hey, hey. All right. Stan, you ready? Did you hear the question? The last question.
Okay. About people respecting my orientation, or
Yeah, your sexual
okay,
attraction. Why should people
go ahead
respect?
again.
That's the question.
I mean, they have no choice.
Right.
Yeah. The question: why should they? Because they have no choice.
That's their
You
problem.
know.
I love the confidence.
That's their problem. Not
You
I
mine.
know,
love it. I love it. I love
it
it.
is what it is. You
I love it.
know. I mean, I'm not living for them.
Right,
Hey,
exactly.
hey, have a problem with me.
Right. Like I said, my mom not here, so I don't care about nobody else.
Yo, I love it, Stan and Donna, because look, this is what I respect everybody,
That's
but
it.
you going to respect me as well. You know what I mean? And,
What did she say?
and,
What you
and
see is
if
what
you
you get.
don't,
That's it.
yeah,
But I think I've
exactly,
been having someone,
exactly. You
and it's
know,
really been bad out here.
I'm telling you, like I'm right along with Stan and Donna. I could care less.
Yeah.
If I give you respect, you gonna give
Get
me
them.
respect, or not, you
Exactly.
gonna hear about it.
Right.
And
Right.
that and that's realness. Y'all gotta excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm
That's
watching,
all right.
but you gonna respect me, especially if I'm respecting you. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Exactly.
when the disrespect comes is when you don't respect me, and I've given you the utmost respect. You're gonna see a
Right.
side of Smack that you ain't never seen. And a couple people have seen that because I respect. Everybody knows Smack got love for everybody. I don't care who you are.
Right.
But if I walk in a room and you speak to everybody else and you don't respect that I'm there to say hi, or I'm gonna lay you out. I don't
You
care.
know, yeah.
And that's just being blackety black, black, as my girl says, blackety black, black, black. And then afterward, I don't give a darn.
Right.
Now, don't do it in no church, because that don't save you either. I'm
No,
gonna keep it real.
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Oh
Being
my
said,
Amen.
God.
hey,
Amen.
you asked the question, I answered it.
I love it. And we are at the end. I'm going to read what Pinky had to say. She answered the question. Why should you respect her sexual attraction? Pinky said, why not? Respect is earned, not given. My personal attraction should be the least of anyone's concerns. Just respect me as a human. I think that is
Yep.
beautiful. And we
Exactly.
are at the end of the show. I asked all my questions. Is there any questions that any of you guys want to ask each other? We have 8 minutes before the show is up. Any questions, open floor that you wanted to ask each other based off of your responses or
Yeah,
anything
you
you would like
Pierce.
to say? Oh,
Yeah,
Why?
me.
the
Yeah.
host.
Why? You said you came out late because you wanted to give your kids the normal, as they say in the world. But how did you feel? Was you like feel like you wanted to break out, or was you okay with doing that? Like, I know you did it for your kids, but how was you feeling? Was you trapped? Did you feel some type of way? Or
I actually felt trapped at in certain moments. I think that was the issue with the dynamics of my marriages. I've been married twice to two men, and I can admit that there was a connection issue. Like I was with them, but it was always that something like, why aren't we connecting on the level that we should connect on? It was
right,
always that mystery. I never could really pinpoint it until I actually got into a relationship with a woman, and then I said,
uh,
"Oh, that is that missing part that I couldn't get over there and connect in."
right, yeah,
So, but as far as feeling severely closeted or oppressed, then I didn't feel like that because I always felt I had control over my life, and at any moment I could just bust out.
right.
But if you have been following me for a while, and Smack mentioned the Peach Radio Show, I think I've actually said it on that show. I am a firm believer that whatever you decide to do in life, make sure you can afford it. Not everybody else. Make sure you can finance it. Because
Right.
once you finance your life, no one could subtract anything away from it. No one can control it. No one can throw you anywhere. No one can do
Right.
anything because
Exactly.
you're financing your future. So that's my take on it. I hope that answered your question, Donna. I
Yeah, it
just
did. Thank
couldn't
you.
connect.
Yeah.
Um, Anybody
Good,
else have any questions for
good answer.
each other?
Good answer, Peach. So yeah. So you may got some new people on here. Peach, the host of this show. People want to know because we all introduced ourselves and what our sexual attraction is. Won't you let the people know? You know, won't you answer
Right.
that
You
first
saw
question?
Miss Tough, didn't she?
Yeah,
She was quiet.
she's sitting over herself right now.
Ah,
Yeah.
Did she say she
So
okay,
switched?
what you
so
identify as? Let them know.
my name is Peirrce, but everybody knows me as Peach, founder of I Am Me, in which this show is produced and sponsored by. And I am what is known as a pansexual. So I can sit on this panel and I can understand everybody's perspective. I am like Stan. I am attracted to trans people if you're my type. I'm attracted to lesbians if you are my type. I am attracted to men, but again, like I just said, it's like a connection thing that's kind of missing. So maybe not so much, but sexuality is fluid, and I am discovering myself because I came out at such a late age.
Right.
But my type right now are dark skinned fat women. I like
Hey, who
chubby
made that beat?
dark skinned women.
N- Smack is not fat.
I better not lose no more weight, Donna. I done lost almost 30 pounds. I
I
better
can't
not
say
lose no more
everybody
weight.
that's been in my life has been heavy set. And I
Oh,
don't know if it's because I was raised by heavy set people, but I like heavy
you
set
like what you like. Okay.
people. But I love dark. For some
Okay.
reason I love dark skin.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Um so any other questions you
But
guys
I
want
just
to ask
Tom,
yourself or me?
and she is not single. I had to put that out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that has no relevance to the show. It's not relevant.
That's just being blackety black, honey.
And that's being a protector.
There it
And
is. Talk about it. Yeah, that's that
Stan,
masculinity coming out. No, that's just that smack coming out.
oh Lord. Stan, do you have any questions that you would like to ask any of the panelists or anything you heard here tonight?
No, I'm really with.
I didn't understand.
yeah, I think he's having some difficulties.
Yeah,
He's trying to hang with us, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna help
Oh, he
everybody.
didn't hear us.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh,
help everybody with the technical. Uh, Especially different when you're using a phone. So I'm gonna definitely help
Mm.
everybody with that. Send out a quick
Okay.
little tutorial. But yeah, I want to say that I just want to give a shout out. Like I shout out I am me for having this
mhm.
Mm.
time to have these
Yeah,
conversations. Definitely, and I thank you for having this type of platform. And
Yeah.
I don't want we need this because a lot of people, and I gotta say, there's a lot of people. I had a couple questions come in about the flyer.
Oh.
because we're all black. You know what I mean? Why not? Y'all do it.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I mean, I'm not, and please, I'm not a racist or anything like that.
Right.
But a lot of people have asked me, and I'm hopefully that we will continue this conversation
Wow.
on a on a future show. But why we're so calm with everything that's being done to LGBTQ community.
That's a
Well, when
whole
you've
nother
been,
show.
that's a whole nother show. But when you've been fighting all your life and still fighting, I mean,
Yeah.
it's no different. You feel me?
Wow.
And that's for
So
being black and LGBTQ. So I can't wait till we have that conversation on the
Yeah.
show.
so
Sure.
I'm gonna end the show off. So we're going to conclude the show. I hope everybody tuning in enjoyed it. Please join us next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Look out for the flyer for the next topic. I'm sure you're going to get all the juicy information that you got here tonight. Please, if you learned anything or you enjoyed it, please leave comments so we'll know we're
Yes.
on the right track. Did
Feedback.
everybody enjoy being on the panel tonight? Did you
Yeah.
have a great time?
Yes. I learned a lot of stuff today.
I did. I enjoyed. We back here in 2 weeks, right?
Nope,
Mm-hmm.
we back here next week. According to
Okay.
Stan, we back here next week at 8 p.m. I
Oh,
will have the flyer out. And remember, if you want to join this panel, it's not too late. Please inbox me. My Facebook is Peirrce Peach McCoy, or you could download the I Am Me mobile app. Is in both app stores. Look up I Am Me Inc. and download the app. Look for my profile, Peirrce Peach. Inbox me. You can
How can my
inbox me
friend?
everywhere.
Peach, how
Huh?
can my friend? Because I told Maxine about it, but she said she was going to join, but I didn't know what to send her.
Oh, the link that I sent you. That's the link you send anybody
And
that
that's
you want to come
oh,
on. Yes.
but it's
Yep.
in Messenger only, right? Or is it? Oh, you do it
In our
because she don't.
private.
She don't have mess. She don't have Messenger like that.
Oh, okay. Well, you could text it.
Okay. Okay.
But you guys, y'all have a great night.
You
Again,
too.
thank you for joining us. I hope y'all enjoyed the platform. Download the mobile app. There are it's so much information in there, so much for you to learn. There is actually an in black group in there where we can go in and conversate, and you could suggest topics to be on this show. All right.
Okay.
So with that being said,
safe space.
everybody say good night, and we
Good
will
night,
see
everybody.
them
Thank you.
next week.
Good
Thank y'all
night.
Yes.
again.
Y'all next week.